Round one.
Salve Omnes, and welcome back to the channel. I have another guide video for you. This time we're covering the Year 1 Samurai DLC assassin hero, Shinobi. Shinobi is rather unique amongst the For Honor roster, being the only character to have access to ranged attacks, courtesy of the twin Kusarigama the character wields. This guide will assume that you are familiar with the basics surrounding For Honor's combat, and you're also familiar with the terminology such as guard breaks, parrying, chains, and feints, etc., and is aimed at new and existing players to help learn a new character. The guide will be covering the hero's moveset, damage values, max punishers, feats and perks. If you're here just looking for a specific section, such as the punishers, please look to the video description for the relative timestamps. With all that said, let's begin.
Victory!
Shadow Dancer is a 2-hit light attack chain, the first strike of which deals 14 damage with its guaranteed follow-up dealing 10. The second light is always confirmed to hit, so long as both attacks hit from the same direction. You can opt to change the direction of the second light in this chain. Doing so will increase the damage of the second light to 14, but will no longer be confirmed, making it vulnerable to counters. Both light opener and finisher have an attack speed of 500 milliseconds. Ghoul's Rage is a heavy opener with a light finisher. The heavy deals 30 damage, and just like the Shadow Dancer chain, the light finisher is guaranteed for 10 damage, provided that it came from the same side as the heavy. From neutral, the heavy opener is 900 milliseconds. Just like with a double light chain, you can change the direction of your follow-up light for more damage, although it will no longer be confirmed. Sickle Rain is a chain consisting of a heavy opener and a heavy finisher. The heavy finisher deals 35 damage and a small amount of stamina damage. It has a speed of 700 milliseconds and will put your opponent into a kneeling state if it hits. If the heavy finisher hits your opponent, you can press light attack 3 times in succession to continue attacking. Each light will deal 2 direct damage. The first of the 3 lights will deal 6 bleed, with the other 2 lights dealing 3 bleed damage each. The lights will deal a combined total of 18 damage, 6 direct and 12 bleed. To perform the lights successfully, make sure to press light attack after each strike lands. Mashing light attack could cause the sequence to fail. Press and hold heavy attack to begin charging an attack. Shinobi will start to swing one of their Kusarigamas behind them in a circular motion. Shinobi will continue to keep the heavy charged while ever heavy attack is held down. Whilst charging, your stamina will begin to deplete. You can change your guard whilst charging, although you will be unable to block any attacks. You can also move around whilst maintaining the charge. You can cancel your charge a couple of ways. Simply pressing the feint button will allow you to return to neutral. This can be done at any point during the charge, and like normal feints, will consume additional stamina. You can also dodge out of your charge. Since you are unable to block during a charge, this is your defensive option. Useful for evading bashes and projectile feats, but also great for deflecting potential interrupts from careless opponents. When charging, release heavy attack to launch a ranged attack. This attack deals 25 damage and cannot be feinted once started. At close ranges, its attack speed is 600 milliseconds, with some minor variations the further away you are. The charge has 2 states. When not fully charged, your ranged attacks will have diminished range and may not reach your opponent. When fully charged, you will receive a brief audio cue and see a red flash. Once fully charged, your attack will have the maximum range possible. It takes 750 milliseconds to reach a fully charged state. The difference affected by the charged states is only range. Damage, speed and other properties remain the same. Despite being a heavy attack, charged attacks behave like light attacks when blocked. This means that they are superior blocks, which will cancel your charge and reset you back into neutral. If your charged attack is parried, Shinobi will be unbalanced and be pulled closer to the opponent. This will allow your opponent to follow up with a punish, so these attacks must be used with extreme caution. You can perform a second ranged attack by pressing heavy attack again after the first. The ranged finisher is a little slower at 800 milliseconds and deals 25 damage. Its range is dictated by the initial charge of the first ranged attack and shares its other properties too, such as being superior blocked and unbalanced on a parry. Where it differs is the fact that your ranged finisher can be feinted. Given the danger of your ranged attacks being parried, this can be useful to score a guard break against an opponent that might not be familiar with Shinobi's kit. Shinobi's zone attack consists of 3 strikes, all of which target the opponent's left guard. The first hit is 500 milliseconds, dealing 10 damage. The second hit deals 5 damage and has a speed of 200 milliseconds, making it confirmed to land after the first. The third hit deals 10 damage and has a speed of 600 milliseconds. The zone attack can be feinted after the second strike. When out of lock and sprinting, you can press sprint again to use super sprint. Shinobi's sprint speed will increase and the Shinobi's sprint animation will change. There will also be a blue border effect during the super sprint. While super sprinting, you will consume stamina. You can press sprint again to return to a regular sprint or simply stop. When sprinting or super sprinting towards your opponent, press guard break to perform a tackle. Shinobi will slide along the ground and unbalance the opponent if it connects. The tackle also pauses Shinobi's stamina regeneration for some time between 3 and 4 seconds. If you hit your opponent with a tackle, you'll be able to confirm a light opener, provided that you buffer the input. Against static guard heroes, you'll need to make sure that you attack a direction that their guard wasn't in. Against heroes with a reflex guard, your buffered light input will always be confirmed. Whilst you are charging a heavy attack, you can press guard break to perform a ranged grab. It has a speed of 600 milliseconds at close ranges. If successful, your opponent will be pulled towards you. From there, you can press guard break again to throw your opponent in any direction that you choose. As with the ranged heavy attacks, the level of your charge will dictate the range of your grab. If your opponent counter guard breaks your grab attempt, Shinobi will be unbalanced and fall closer to the opponent. Unlike regular guard breaks, the ranged grab can be dodged. If your ranged grab is successful, pressing heavy attack as your opponent is dragged towards you will confirm your heavy finisher, which in turn leads into your sickle rain lights. Shinobi can cancel a dodge with another dodge. Simply press the dodge button a second time after a dodge. The second dodge takes stamina to do, so cannot be used when out of stamina. You can change the direction of your dodge after the first if you choose to do so. This will not work, however, if the first dodge you performed was a back dodge. Any attempt to chain into a second dodge will result in you rolling instead. Press guard break after a double dodge to perform a kick. The kick has a different speed and animation depending on which dodge was last used before the kick. A front or back dodge yields a front kick with a speed of 500 milliseconds. If the last dodge you used was a side dodge, you'll have a slightly different side kick animation with a speed of 600 milliseconds. You can cancel the recovery of a whiffed kick by holding down heavy to go into a charge. You can also cancel the recovery of a whiffed kick with a backflip. To do this, simply press dodge if a kick misses. The backflip cancel is especially useful for trying to avoid a guard break after a whiffed kick, but more on the backflip later. Take note of this small image as it is used in Shinobi's moveset to represent any kick variation Shinobi can perform. After a double dodge kick, press heavy attack to perform a ranged heavy. The ranged heavy will have its maximum charge and will be confirmed if the kick hits your opponent. The ranged heavy is a ranged opener, so cannot be feinted. You can chain into either a light or heavy attack from a double dodge. Simply buffer the input for the desired attack towards the end of the double dodge. You can also chain into a charge by holding down heavy attack at the end of your double dodge. Because you can cancel your charge with a dodge, you're able to link multiple dodges together by chaining your double dodge into a charge and then cancelling your charge into another double dodge. You can do this so long as you have stamina to spare. The button inputs are tricky and do require practice. The way these chain dodges are performed is by releasing heavy during your dodge's startup and then making sure to press it again in time as your double dodge ends to link into the next charge. After a double dodge kick, you can press guard break to perform a max ranged grab. All of the same rules apply to this ranged grab as the one performed from a neutral charge. Success will let you throw the opponent or perform sickle rain, and being counter guard broken will see you unbalanced. If your opponent tries to guard break you after evading your kick, this option will let you counter guard break them successfully. You can perform a front roll by pressing guard break after a ranged attack. This can be done after either your ranged opener or finisher. From a front roll, press heavy attack to go into your heavy finisher. If it connects, you can continue into your sickle rain light, or you can opt to feint the heavy. Pressing guard break during the front roll will result in a kick which will drain stamina from the opponent and launch them backwards. You have the same options from this kick as you do from the double dodge kick variant. Pressing guard break during the front roll kick will launch a maxed range grab. Pressing heavy attack during a front roll kick will launch a maxed range heavy attack. This will not be confirmed to land in any situation, however. Shadow Strike is a special parry counter. After parrying an attack, immediately press light attack to quickly strike back. The attack deals 29 damage in total, 14 physical damage and 15 bleed. Shinobi is an assassin class hero and as such has a reflex guard. Reflex guards are only active for a short time before you have no guard. No guard is represented on screen by your guard widget being black in all directions. You must continue to refresh your guard to keep it active. This means that blocking attacks must be done on reaction as opposed to preemptively, as blocking an attack will reset you back into having no guard. Assassins, however, do have access to deflects. Perform a deflect by dodging into an opponent's blockable attack. Normally, a deflect does nothing on its own except drain stamina and look cool. Shinobi, however, is an exception. With no additional input required by the player, Shinobi will automatically teleport behind the opponent whilst inflicting 25 points of bleed damage. During a deflect, you can press light attack to perform an attack right after Shinobi finishes teleporting. This light will deal 14 damage and stacks on top of the 25 bleed for a total of 39 damage. Press guard break during a deflect to perform a kick after the teleport. The kick will deal some stamina damage and create distance between you and your opponent. Just like with Shinobi's other kicks, you can perform any follow-up associated with the kick within the moveset. This includes going for a ranged grab after a kick, which can lead into your sickle rain mix-up. Be aware that also being counter guard broken will leave you unbalanced. You can also throw a ranged heavy after the kick with a buffered input. This time the interaction behaves in a similar way to the sprinting slide tackle. The ranged heavy will be confirmed against static guard heroes, provided that you attack a direction they were not previously guarding against. The attack will always land against a reflex guard hero. Being a mobile hero, Shinobi can cancel the recoveries of light attacks, including the deflect light and the parry counter, heavy attacks and kicks with a backflip. To do this, simply press dodge after one of these three types of moves. Do note, however, that it cannot be done after a ranged heavy, as that will result in a front roll instead. Finally, the last thing on Shinobi's moveset is the crushing backflip. Despite the name, it doesn't behave like the front roll variant. Instead, pressing heavy attack after a backflip simply launches a max charge ranged heavy opener. Now for the punishers. On a guard break, you get your heavy attack into your confirmed light follow-up for a total of 40 damage. This is your Ghoul's Rage Chain. The punish is the same for a wall splat, however damage reduction will apply after hitting the wall, causing the light follow-up to deal only 3 damage as opposed to 10. Unless there's an environmental hazard, just stick to the guard breaks punish. When parrying a heavy attack, you can use your Shadow Strike counter for 29 damage, 14 direct and 15 bleed. You can also use your Shadow Dancer chain. This is 2 light attacks with the second one matching the direction of the first. Just be sure not to buffer your light after the parry. Total damage is 24. The first and second hit of the zone attack is also confirmed after a heavy parry. The damage is only 15 here, but this could interrupt a potential guard break from an external attacker. Light parries will net you a heavy attack into a same side light attack for a total of 40 damage. If you are out of stamina and successfully guard break your opponent, you can get a light attack from any direction for 14 damage. Provided that you have the correct distance to the wall, a front or side throw can get you a heavy attack for 30 damage. If you are too close to the wall, however, your opponent will recover in time to block the attack. When throwing an out of stamina opponent, always throw sideways. The simple punish is to simply do a heavy into same side light for 40 damage. You can squeeze a little more damage out though. Throw a light attack and then a heavy opener into the same side light. The light can be blocked but not parried. Damage here is 44 plus 2 points of chip damage if the opponent is still out of stamina when that last light hits. Out of stamina parries function exactly the same way. The simplest punish is to simply do a heavy into same side light for a total of 40 damage. The more damaging punish is once again throw a light attack, then a heavy attack into the same side light for 44 damage plus 2 points of chip damage. Just make sure not to buffer your light input, or you will perform the Shadow Strike parry counter, which in turn will prevent your opponents from becoming unbalanced. Revenge Activation's auto parry is a tricky one. You need to throw a light attack, then throw a heavy, and then throw another light from a different direction. The total damage here is 77. Bounty Hunter heals 25 HP and fully restores stamina on a hero kill. Healing feats are always helpful, and Bounty Hunter is one of the best. Combined with the Remedy and Devourer perks, Shinobi can get a lot of healing done with a single kill. Always a strong choice. Stealth will hide you from the HUD, radar and aim assist. It will also prevent the Oracle's Blessing from highlighting you in tribute. Stealth has good benefits for those who can use it. Avoiding projectile feats just by moving is a nice touch, but this feat is particularly useful on Shinobi, who can use it to score slide tackles and range guard breaks to help guarantee death to those in a gank. Ki will stun opponents and allies within a 6 meter AoE radius centered in front of your character at the time of activation. It interrupts attacks and completely drains stamina of those affected. 60-second cooldown. Ki is a very good stalling tool, allowing you to hold your own against multiple attackers at once. It's also good for giving you an advantage in 1v1. The initial stun works well to disguise your light openers. Avoid using in teamfights though, as your allies will not be happy you drain them of all their stamina. Smoke Bomb throws a smoke bomb onto the ground which blinds enemies, prevents them from locking on, stops revives, area captures and other interactions such as executions within the smoke. The smoke lasts for 10 seconds and has a 10 meter AoE radius. It will also negate the effects of Marked for Death, Scout and Doom Banner whilst ever you are inside the smoke. 100-second cooldown. An amazing area denial feat. Stopping interactions and zone captures are amazing enough on their own. Smoke Bomb tends to make your enemies create distance to avoid being an easy target. Combined with Ki, Shinobi can use the two feats together to stall for a long time. Shooting Stars throws 5 20 damage shurikens forwards in a spread. 90-second cooldown. What is a ninja without throwing stars? This feat activates quickly and is fast enough to interrupt attacks. Given its spread nature, this feat can be very powerful at close range. Revenge attacks will fill the revenge meter by 2% for every light attack landed and 5% for each heavy attack, provided that you have revenge tags. Whilst Shinobi does have confirmed lights from attacks and a multi-hit zone, Shinobi doesn't do well while outnumbered and should be defending rather than attacking. Your other tier 2 feats have greater utility. Sharpened Blade lets every attack deal 10 bleed damage in 2 ticks of 5 for 30 seconds, 150-second cooldown. This feat is more useful on heroes with better offense, though Shinobi hits hard, so with additional bleed, a Shinobi chain really hurts. Also works nicely with Yama-Uba for additional healing. Nukikubi recovers 9 stamina for every light attack landed and 15 stamina for each heavy attack. Shinobi normally wants as much stamina as possible, but the returns on this are minimal, especially since this doesn't work against blocked attacks. Works on minions, although Shinobi should be harassing other heroes rather than clearing mid where possible. Slip Through increases your attacks by 40% for 1.5 seconds after a dodge. 1 second cooldown. Whilst this will strengthen your deflects and attacks after a front roll, the buff unfortunately runs out before you can attack after a double dodge kick. This does however buff your shooting stars, turning them from shurikens into a sawn-off shotgun. Arrow Storm calls down 5 waves of 50 damage arrow volleys in a 15 meter AoE moving forwards from the point of activation. Can only be used outside and has a 180-second cooldown. This feat is great at clearing mid and killing pikemen. It also damages the ram. It's quite easy to avoid if players are aware of it, but it's also quite possible to get a team kill if they are otherwise engaged with your allies. This does, however, do significant friendly fire damage, so be careful not to wipe out your own team. Nail Bomb is a trap that when triggered completely drains stamina, deals 40 direct damage and 75 bleed damage to those caught inside. The trap has an 8 meter AoE radius and has a 180-second cooldown. The trap can be easy to detect given the smoke it produces, but it can be very effective at catching players returning to zones to heal, finishing them off. It can also be a nasty surprise to anyone trying to use the cauldron or other such interactions, and is pretty nasty when placed near the top of a ladder. It does however do serious friendly fire damage, so careless use will get you or your allies killed. Yama-Uba is a passive feat that will heal you for 20% of the damage that you deal. This works on minions and also works in conjunction with bleed. The best part of this feat is that it heals you under revenge shields, so can help you stall fights longer. If you can score some parries or deflects, the bleed will keep you healed while ever it ticks down. Might not be much healing, but it will cleanse any bleed or fire damage that is dealt to you. Shinobi isn't the greatest at getting executions, but Devourer will grant a significant HP gain if paired with Bounty Hunter. Remedy also does this to a lesser degree, but you don't need the execution to reap the rewards, making it the ideal choice over the two. Given Shinobi's ability to Naruto run around the map and stay hidden with the stealth feat, Clever Tactics is a really good pick in both Dominion and Breach, particularly as an attacker. Endurance is the other major perk vying for your attention, as Shinobi spends more stamina than any other hero in this game. Headhunter is nice to patch up Shinobi's low health pool, but requires executions, something Shinobi struggles to get. Supersonic will let you sprint around the map very quickly, allowing you to retreat or backcap to a point, but otherwise has little utility. Crush Them does complement Shinobi's high base damage, but this perk is a very minor gain over what other choices you have available.
Round 6.
In conclusion, if you ever had a feeling that the developers had one character in the game that they just didn't like, it's Shinobi. Shinobi lacks any viable offense whatsoever. The character is starved for stamina, particularly when it comes to double dodge kick. No other hero is required to spend additional stamina for a dodge just to activate a dodge attack. Lowest HP in the game and constant unbalancing from ranged options being countered so easily, not to mention the ranged opener being unfaintable. An automatic deflect sounds good on paper, but in practice you can easily put yourself out of stamina doing that, which could cost you a match. Shinobi's saving grace is the damage output, but that in itself is unbalanced as Shinobi gets absurdly high punishes for deflects, guard breaks and parries. The developers really need to look at Shinobi and give the character a complete overhaul. The character has tons of personality through a wide range of emotes and executions, and the animations and mobility option that Shinobi has are fun to play around with. Shinobi just needs some damage tuning down and some moves and mechanics added or altered to let the ninja fit in with the rest of the cast.
Victory!
If you found this guide helpful, then please leave it a like and consider supporting the channel by subscribing. Remember to tick the bell icon to receive notifications of new content, and please comment down below if I've missed anything out or you have any questions. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao for now.